When people are constantly deceived, they lose faith in people and become closed entirely to themselves. They begin to solve all problems independently and do not want to ask anyone for help for fear of being deceived again. They have no choice when their loved ones are at stake. That's what happened in this story. However, the main character in this story was not a human being. A strange incident happened in a military unit located on the Chinese border. Not long ago, the new troops arrived in the garrison, and it was time for the young soldiers to start their first night duty. But they were surprised when, during the first night, they saw a real tiger near the border. Wild predators were not uncommon in those areas, but they usually did not come close to people. The animals tried to stay away from the bright light of industrial projectors. This tiger was not afraid of anything. It seemed to approach people as close as possible on purpose, as if to warn them of something. The next day, history repeated itself. The predator came again to the shooting range and started walking between the sentries. The beast wanted someone to pay attention to him. The incident was reported to the unit commander. They had decided whether to wait for the tiger to stop approaching the border or shoot it. Many officers were afraid to leave the area for fear of a predator attack. The commander called the local forester to ask him for advice. The older man listened to the story, thought about it, and suggested they follow the tiger. The forester explained that the animal seemed to have come to the people for help and asked them to follow him. The colonel agreed and picked out several volunteers from his personnel. The following day, the troop headed off. The forester turned out to be an experienced pathfinder and quickly found the trail along which the tiger went into the woods the previous night. A few hours later, the young soldiers and the older man saw the familiar striped animal in the distance. They slowed down so as not to frighten the animal. Even though the tiger asked for help, no one knew how the tiger would behave when a human got too close. After about half an hour, the forester noticed the smoke from the fire. As they got closer, the men found something like a camp. Several Chinese were warming near the fire. Tents were set up around it, and there were self-made cages behind them. Inside them, there were tiger cubs. The young soldiers had no time to understand anything, yet when suddenly the forester approached the foreigners, raised his rifle, and spoke to them in their language. Judging by their further actions, the men told them to surrender their weapons, put their hands up, and let the animals out of the cages. When the cubs were finally out in the wild and no longer in danger, the tiger immediately ran up to them. It turned out to be a tigress. The forester explained to the soldiers that these animals are costly in the East. Their pelts and other parts of their bodies, which are widely used in Chinese medicine, can be sold there for high prices. The tigress and her children stood near people for a few minutes as if she didn't know how to thank them, and then she took her cubs into the forest. She looked back once as if she was saying goodbye to her new friends. Even though the poachers caught the tiger cubs, the predator still went to other people for help. Perhaps she realized that not all two-legged creatures are the same, or she had no other choice. Under the threat of being killed by a machine gun, the tigress still managed to explain to the military that she needed help, and among them, some kind people agreed to help the animal instead of solving the problem with just one precise shot. If you liked this fantastic story, please share it with your friends and leave a comment. Bye!